just wanted to let you know exactly the equipment that we use. I have a heavy board, or any type of board works. It is covered with a pastry cloth. Then I usually use this heavy rolling pin, and that I also have a pastry cloth on it. Then the Lefse griddle, and then I use a couple brushes to brush the flour off the Lefse and the flour off the griddle. This is a Bethany. That's the company that we found with the Lefse griddle. My recipe for the Lefse is simple. I used to do the ricing of the potatoes, etc., but found this Betty Crocker potato buds recipe. It takes the potato buds, the Betty Crocker ones, 5 cups of water you start with, 1 stick of butter, half a cup of half and half, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. You bring that to a boil. Then you add your 6 cups of Betty Crocker potato buds, and I measure those out ahead of time so that they're ready to put in. Mix well, and then you cool them. I usually cool them overnight. And then the next day, when you're making your lefse, you do 4 cups of the potato mixture with 2 cups of flour, and mix that, and I show you that later on our tape. Thank you. Okay, now I've taken the prepared potatoes that we did ahead of time. They've been cooled. I always cool mine overnight. And I do it in 4 cup increments. And I've measured, and I put them in another bowl. And then I just put this away until I did the 4 cups. Then I put this back in the cold. And then whatever ratio of prepared potatoes, I always put, per cup of potato, I put a half a cup of flour. So since we have 4 cups is my normal, what I usually do, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I use my pastry cutter, and I work the flour into my cold potatoes. And then this sometimes takes a little while, so we'll take a little break till I get this done, and then when it comes time to forming it, we'll start the camera again. Okay, now I've worked on this for a while. It usually takes a little while, and it's kind of crumbly. There's still some work to be done with it, but that's about the best I can get it with the pastry cutter. Now I usually use my hands for the rest of it here, and just kind of try to get the rest of that flour that's down in the bottom here worked in. And it works kind of crumbly for a while, but you knead it like you do, I don't know if anybody's made bread, but you kind of, and then I keep working it till I get kind of most of it all into my ball here. Yeah, most of it's there, so I just dump the rest of it out. And Then I'll work on it. It's a little easier. Now is about the time to do it in a couple different pieces, and then you can work it a little bit better. And just kind of squeeze it. The reason a lot of recipes will say to do, you know, your whole recipe, then add so many cups of flour. My Aunt Esther taught me this, and so this is kind of the way I've done it, and I find it that the potatoes are easier to work with. If you work with just a small amount at a time, then the flour does get sticky, I believe, if you add all the flour to your potatoes. Just do it in small bunches, and then your dough doesn't get so sticky because it hasn't had time to sit with the flour in it. So I've kind of worked it all together here. Make a little, kind of a little loaf or tube or whatever you want to call it. Play with it. And then I start to cut my amounts. I usually do about a fistful, maybe, it's all in how much, how big you want your lefse to be. And so I think Esther's recipe used to say walnut size. This is a little bit bigger than a walnut, but if you wanted your lefse to turn out to be really big, you'd need to have more than this. I don't make mine real big. And they can be smaller, like you said. And then I just sit and play with them until I make them into a nice smooth ball. The smoother you get your ball, the nicer your lefse will roll. Actually, they'll kind of stay rounder if you have a nice ball. And you just kind of get used to. There's nothing that Esther used to say that my grandma used to do her lefse by touch. She knew if she had too much flour or not enough by just the touch, and you do kind of get the feel for it. And seeing it's nicely mixed, the flour in there. It just and then we're just going to continue with all of this in the same manner. So, okay, then now I've got my last ball that I'm rolling, and I just pile them on a plate, and then I only take one or two out at a time. I usually do 2 or 3, and then you must keep the rest in the refrigerator, and then only take them out 1 or 2 at a time. Or 3, whatever you decide you want to do. But it's important to keep the dough